Okay, then they, so Zeta, Petra, removes her mask, and the air feels warm and humid. Did you expect that? What if you went to an alien planet? How would you expect the air to be? Maybe a little thin, maybe a little cold, maybe a little smelly? But warm and humid? It just sounds exactly like, I don't know, San Diego, where I live, or Los Angeles, where I don't live, or, I don't know, Santa Fe, Hawaii, I don't know, maybe Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and all the other places that are warm and humid, which means, like mostly South Carolina. Florida. But I guess South Carolina could also be very humid. So, do you think that what they are doing right now, what the Zetas or Rubio, Feathers, Petra, and Len are doing, do you think that, like, on a scale to 1 to 10, how safe is it? Like, what should have the Chancellor done instead of just being like, well, these are some human test subjects. I don't care if they're, like, die or something. Let's just test them out like human guinea pigs. Yay! And then she just rockets them out to space. Do you think that she should have done that? What should she have done instead? First of all, she should have taken robots to the planet's surface to, do all the work and to test the air quality before anybody actually went down. If they're that advanced, they should have robots that can test the air quality and that can, do everything that these people are doing, that, Petra, Feathers, Rubio, and Len are doing, right? It just doesn't make sense. Just because these people, they are people, but they're programmed like robots. They don't even have their memories. But still, even though you could think of them as dispensable, they're not. They're humans. They have personalities. And I think that nothing like this should have happened at all. And one thing I wanted to talk about was that one thing I wanted to talk about was the Chancellor herself. Do you think that the Chancellor, if she had a choice, do you think that she would have lived on Earth, on the spaceship, or on Sagan? Or just, like on the spaceship / Sagan? Like, what do you think? Probably Sagan or Earth. Sagan or the spaceship, because there she has ultimate power because nobody else knows about anything else, right? They're just like brainwashed. They're like, yes, Master Chancellor, yes. But back on Earth, they would have faced a lot of political uprisings. They would have faced accusations, and they would have faced suing. They would have been called evil and all that. But now, there's only some people around, and all of them are sort of brainwashed, at least like misinformed, that the Chancellor is the best, the amazing guy, the really, really awesome person. Another thing I wanted to talk about, a new planet, somewhere where nobody's gone before. You're one of the first people to get onto that planet. How would it feel? How do you think that Neil Armstrong felt? He was the first man who stepped on the moon. How do you think that he felt? He probably felt awesome, right? I would have felt awesome too. I would have loved the new discoveries, the new biological diversity. I would have loved everything. But Petra, she probably would have loved it if, things had been normal. But things aren't normal. The Chancellor's still there. Still, what do you think? And do you think that Earth has a better diversity? Or do you think that Sagan has a better diversity? I know, we can't judge it right now. I mean, we haven't even studied it a lot. But still, from the things that we've already read about, like the water plants, like how the air is warm and humid, the forests, the mountains, the water, and all the different types of plants. And do you think that life, did you think that animal life could have been sustained there? Yes. And I wasn't surprised to see that Petra got an animal. And that is where we see the water butterfly. The water butterfly. This is like a huge. Why is it huge? Now, people. For the answer, just look right here and search for the huge, awesome, amazing thing. If you saw this, the water butterfly, then you were correct. It's on the cover. I have been puzzling about this, and now I know. I absolutely have figured out the mysteries of the world. Actually, I haven't, but let's just say that I did. I mean, it sounds cool when I'm like, I figured out the mysteries of the world, even if I didn't. Now, do you think that the water butterfly is amazing, impossible, or just, oh my, mind blow? One of those three options, what do you think that the water butterfly is? Mind blow and impossible. I mean, wow too, but think about it. Sagan is like light years away from Earth, and yet the same characteristics of a butterfly and a fish, they're so alike that it's impossible to think about it. I mean, it looks basically like a fish with wings. It looks basically like a flying fish, in BBC documentaries. And the wing pattern, it looks exactly like monarch butterflies. It's too similar to Earth. It's impossible. Well, yes, it is science fiction, that's why. But that's impossible. If you wanted to be a little more realistic, it would have looked completely different. It would have looked very different because it's just that this is a new planet. This has different things. So we can't just expect, combinations. That is a pretty strange thing. Still, this is a sci-fi book, so we need to understand, we can't be like, yeah, well, that's wrong. Because, yeah, it is wrong. But we can't just say that. We can't change that. So one good lesson that I want you to learn about the sci-fi is that even though things are wrong, just to read the book, because of course things are going to be wrong. Times change, science change, and our knowledge changes. So just a few years from when a sci-fi book might be published, we might have some other things. We might have some other ideas. And still, Donna Barbara Higuera's version was amazing. I wouldn't have been able to think about that at all. One thing I wanted to talk about was, did you think that the water butterfly, do you think that's toxic? Do you think that it would be dangerous? What do you think? Another question. Do you think that the people on the spaceship should be just so bold to already just be marching onto Sagan? Do you think that that's what they should have done? Of course, they shouldn't have done that. We already have discussed that. But still, what I want to talk about is, do you think that they should have studied the species more? And the water butterfly is right now eating something, right? He's eating something, and do you think that that means that it is edible? Because Petra thinks so, because it says right here, the water butterfly nibbles on the surface of an aquatic fern frond. If he's eating it, it's a good sign. I reach out and extract one of the fronds floating on the surface. The little organism darts back to the safety of its group. I hold the vine up forceps with forceps and point the toxometer at it. The screen lights up, showing no toxin detected. I reach out to get a larger sample, and 2 water butterflies dart back to safety. Sorry, I say, dropping the samples in a vial and placing them in my satchel. Here, we see that Petra has already located a new food sample, right? Do you think that humans will ever be lucky enough to come across a planet like this with almost the same organisms as on Earth? Almost with very similar features. Or do you think that we're gonna find it soon? We might find it soon. Already, we're mapping Mars. We're sending rovers to Mars. We're sending drones. And already, we can see it has huge canyons. It's one of the hugest canyons in the world. It once probably had water, deserts, mountains. Whoa, right? It only has just a thinner atmosphere. Even though there is a thinner atmosphere, which is pretty impressive considering that it's very far away from Earth, right? So that already shares some geological things with Earth. So we might find something like Sagan soon. Well, not soon. We would need a long time. But there probably is something like Sagan. The universe might even be growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we will find out someday that there is something like Sagan. Maybe, just maybe, we will find something like a fish, a plant, a little microscopic organism that still indicates life, right? So even if it isn't huge aliens, even if it isn't a big space, like a space town with aliens and extraterrestrial beings, I think that we'll find life soon. Because humans, either bad or good, they're pretty much unstoppable. What do you think? Do you think they're unstoppable? And also, have you ever felt annoyed by not having enough time to yourself? Petra's feeling? And also, why do you think that Petra said that if the water butterfly is eating it, why do you think that it's a good sign that maybe they can eat it? Why? At least, it's a good sign, so why? I think it's because animals, first of all, it's not toxic, so maybe they can eat it. It's a plant, so yeah, we eat a lot of plants. And also, if the water butterfly can tolerate it in its stomach, that means that we can probably tolerate it in its stomach. I'm pretty sure that plants that other animals avoid are toxic. But the water butterfly does not avoid this plant, which probably means that this plant is safe to eat, which means that there's going to be a new food source, right? But do you think that it is a new food source? Do you believe that this much progress could be just achieved in just such a short time? Now I have a question. Just imagine in your head, 10 years from now. 10 years, okay? Exactly a decade. How do you think that our space travel would look? Do you think that we would have to go to another planet because Earth is heating up too much because of climate change? Or do you think it's just going to be just okay on Earth? We're going to find some amazing way to stop climate change. And finally, well, yeah, just space travel. What do you think? What do you think that we would have done by then? And now, there is another thing. A field mouse, right? And also, there is a honey bee. And there is a flower. And there is a I don't know. That's all. I was about to say one more thing and I was like, oh, there isn't anything. Still, a flower. Wow! And a honeybee. What? Why are so many things alike here? And a furry animal the size of a field mouse with eyes and ears as big as a chinchilla's? This is crazy. This is so much like Earth that it is totally crazy. So, why do you think there's a honeybee here? And think really hard. Think like your brains depend on it. Why? I think I got an answer. But I'm not going to say it because if I say it, the book will be spoiled for you. Another thing I want to talk about is how Petra tries to she walks away from the lake and she goes toward the forest and she gets feathers and then pulls her back from the jungle's edge, right? Because there might be something dangerous, right? And she probably does not want that to happen to Feathers or Rubio. Or maybe she wants to do something else. We do not know, but probably she wants to save Feathers. What do you think? Yes. And then there also is a mini chinchilla. And then there's like a plant with bright green red rimmed leaves. When the mini chinchilla sees that, he basically has a heart attack, right? And now, there is lots of things that we want to talk about here, but I'm going to just skip over a few things. But first, have you ever, did you even know what nanograms per kilogram, did you even understand what that was? Yeah, I mean, not really. Sometimes I had a little hard time putting my brain around it, but it was simple enough for me to to learn about. And so, Feathers even finds graphite. Okay, really strange. So many things alike. Do you think that, let's think about something else and let's have a thought experiment, okay? This is so much like Earth. Why do you think it's so much like Earth? If we had to think, let's just say. What are the possibilities? And this can be totally crazy. Maybe, Satan and Earth were formed together. But then, wow, boom. There was a big explosion. They, turned into both. They split across the middle. They both hurled light years away. And then at the end, they went all somewhere else. I know, sounds crazy. But, then again, it isn't that crazy, right? Not that crazy. I mean, pretty crazy, but still not that crazy. Why is that Petra? Do you think she has a chance of escaping? Do you think that Feathers, if she wasn't brainwashed, do you think that she would have been a good friend to Petra? And even though she is brainwashed, do you think that she is still a good friend to Petra? Do you think she'll ever unlock her memory? And what about Len? We end with a cliffhanger, right? We end with Len's skin being covered in boils. Last 2 questions. First, what can you learn from stories? Because as they are going back, Petra suddenly understands what Lita's words about Blanca4 really mean. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to ask you that question, okay? Another thing. Can stories like Cuentistas, cuentos, or just any stories, how can it connect to your life? How can it connect to reality? How can it do that? And finally, my last question is, do you think that there is a chance of escaping? Because there is like a dark gap, right? A cave. Do you think that she can hide out in a cave? Well, we're gonna have to see next time. I hope that you had a great time with me. You know the drill about the questions. What's your favorite part in these chapters? What was your favorite part in the whole book so far? What was your favorite character? What was your least favorite character? Well, how did you like the book so far? Always my favorite question, right? We all have our favorite questions. Well, for predictions, I just want to ask you one question. Actually 3. First, do you think that Petra's gonna be able to hide out in the caves with or without Rubio or Feathers? Do you think that Len is going to survive? And finally, do you think that the Chancellor is going to step down from power and everybody's gonna be able to live like a freer life? Or do you think that Petra and Feathers, maybe Feathers or Rubio, do you think they have to escape? Well, I don't know if Feathers and Rubio are gonna go with her, but probably because they're sort of her friends. They're now her friends. And I'm pretty sure she would try anything to get them go along with her because she doesn't want to lose anything else, right? She's already lost so much. Her home, her family, her friends, her dignity. She lost it because of the Chancellor. And I think that she's trying to get some of it back. Well, we're going to have to see soon enough. And I hope that you had a great time. And hopefully, just hopefully, our Earth, the Earth won't be hit by a burning blinded stake. Okay? Hopefully.